Welcome to Wild Her Wisdom, the podcast where sassy meets savvy. Join Shelley and Amy as they dive into the heart of womanhood, blending inspiration, laughter, and authentic conversations. In each episode, they celebrate the wild and wise woman in you, exploring everything from personal growth and self-care to career and relationships. So whether you're looking for a spark of joy, a dose of empowerment, or a good laugh, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey into Wild Her Wisdom.
Well, welcome to another episode of Wild Her Wisdom podcast. Today, we are thrilled beyond belief to have Lesley Picchietti from Inspire Bliss Coaching and Consulting join us, one of my favorite all-time people. Welcome, Lesley.
I'm thrilled and honored to be here.
We are so glad you're here. And the few minutes I got to talk to you before we started, I already knew we were going to be instant friends. So I love this already, Lesley. I'm already here for this.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's do this, Shelley.
Perfect. So your website, you talk about shifting various aspects of your life. We're going to just jump right into it. Can you tell us about a personal shift you've experienced and how it changed your life?
How much time do we have? Because that could be, like a year-long podcast series. I think, that's such a great question because I just think we all have had so many things in our lives. I think for me, one of the biggest things was I was in a marriage with a practicing alcoholic for 17 years plus being together more than that. And it weighed very heavy on me in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I became a master at tolerating and making excuses of, oh, at least he's a functioning alcoholic. Oh, at least he can keep a job. Oh, and not the things of, oh, I'm up all night because his phone died and I don't know if he's in a ditch, or there was also some, gambling issues. So what was happening? So there were so many things that I didn't even realize that I think my nervous system was so on high alert. And I remember looking in the mirror one day and not recognizing myself.
Wow.
And that's not on him. I want to own that very clearly. That was just how I was reacting to the situation. And I didn't think I had a choice, especially alcoholism is a disease. Would I have left him if he had something else? And I think I was nervous about that. Mm-hmm. Maybe feeling judged by others for that. Mm-hmm. Until, you don't make a change until the pain is greater than the change. And I find that statement to be powerful and sad at the same time, because sometimes we just wait so damn long to make that change. Now, no judgment. I finally made that change. And for me, it changed so many other areas in my life. And I can't even sit here and say like I had a bad marriage, and bad is a total judgment word. But it was just all of those things. And even the people that were in my life at the time, there was just a lot of heaviness and a lot of feeling like they didn't have other choices, and a lot of I don't know, angst, for lack of a better word, that just wasn't my regular MO. Hence the reason I felt like I kind of had lost myself. So that to me was one of my biggest shifts. That was also right at the moment. I think that was in June when I just kind of said to him, either work the program or I'm done. no harm, no foul. Let's just move on. And then maybe 4 months later, I had found coaching, which for me really solidified like, oh, wow, I actually do have choices. And that was a freaking game changer for me, which was so interesting because in my work life, like I loved my job and I'm so great at career. I've had so many careers and I love hopping around and doing new things. And I had no issue there. So I find that interesting too. Like, where do we get stuck and limit ourselves? It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the devil, for sure, right? Like change is the only constant, but it's so freaking hard, right? Like
yeah.
I'd rather live this life that I know versus going out and doing something. And as women, at leasting ourselves to death, right? Just like
Totally.
at least it's not this, at least it's not that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Or like you said, the comparative. Well, if he had cancer or if he had, diabetes or whatever, something, I wouldn't leave him for that. However, it still impacts your life on a day-to-day basis. That's a BFD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially I also think women think like and I did this, so I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm strong enough for the both of us.
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the, I can't do that work for him. So what made me think I could and what made me I just it's so interesting to think back on that time.
What made you think you should? I think that's the real liberation, right? Is realize I'm not going to do the work for you because it's not my job. My job is 100% of my 50%.
Right.
And that's it.
When we have a giving heart and we think, oh, but I can help, that's been some of my learning along the way. I don't even like the word help. I don't want to help anybody because nobody really needs my help per se. I want to support people. And sometimes we support people by allowing them to fall or stand up on their own. And I could not differentiate and see that at the time.
I have a hard time using the word help now because of my friend Lesley. It's always support. I'm not kidding you. Like the should, I don't use the word should very often because she would tell me I'm shoulding on myself. And I don't use the word help because of what I've learned from you, Lesley, that people don't need help. They need support.
Yeah. And again, that doesn't mean that someone at the side of the road bleeding that I'm going to stop to be like, how can I best support you?
No,
I want us to keep this in check.
Yes.
But I do think that when we jump into help, that's about us.
100%.
Yes.
It's about control, 100%.
Yes.
Oh, God. You're singing my song, Amy. Yeah. I'm just talking all the time, Amy. Take over for me.
I knew the two of you would hit it off right away, because everybody loves the two of you when they meet.
Oh, I love that.
So to bring you together is just a joy for me. All right. So Ms. Lesley, you mentioned, I put this word in here, but use it as you will. You mentioned helping people find their bliss. So helping people find their bliss.
Oh my gosh, I got to change that straight away.
Yeah. So what does bliss mean to you and how did you discover it?
Woo! Well, that's a question. Okay. I think that, first of all, bliss has a different definition for everyone. So it's really allowing people to just figure out what they want really, not what they think they're supposed to have or what other people have put on them or what society tells us or, yada, yada, yada. I think it's getting clear on what fuels us each and brings us joy. And as far as I feel like I've come in my journey of this big experiment called life, I also know that I have so much further to go. So I certainly have way more bliss
Mhm.
than I did 15 years ago. And I also know that I'm always progressing as a human and always learning as a human. And I do believe that the universe has an insane sense of humor, that when we are not listening,
Uh-huh.
if you're not listening to the tap on the shoulder, then it turns into the bigger nudge, and then it turns it
Mhm.
until you get, the universal crack with a 2x4 across your head
Yep.
and saying, yeah, haven't been listening. So
Mhm.
I'm going to shut this down right now until you do.
Yep.
And then it's what are we learning? So
Mhm.
I do feel like I'm on, a continual learning, growing path. I don't know. Oh gosh, such a cliche. It's not the destination, it's the journey. We're so tied to freaking
Yeah.
outcomes all the time that why can't we just enjoy right this minute? Because God knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. And maybe accepting imperfection too. I mean, we strive so much. I mean, I can speak to that. Strive so much for perfection when we know it's not attainable, right? But yet we still strive for it. So accepting imperfection so that you can also welcome in some of that bliss.
Well, and maybe just like should and help take perfection out of our vocabulary.
Right.
I'm not quite sure how it really does support us.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's someone's definition, and whose definition is it? Because
Yeah.
usually it's not our own.
Right. And all it does is lead to just shame.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is fascinating what we take in and use as our filter,
Mm-hmm.
and how it can just really get in our way
Mm-hmm. Yep.
of so many.
Agreed.
Lesley, you mentioned learning, which is my favorite. I'm constantly taking a class, learning, getting a certification, all this stuff. I said to my husband, I just finished my certified executive coach a couple of weeks ago, and I said,
Brats.
remind me not to take another class from 8 to 10 p.m. at night because I like to go to bed early and I like to wake up early. And I've done this for almost a year straight. I did two different things. And he goes, I'll tell you, but you're going to do it anyway. I said, oh, I know.
Are you out?
I know, but
Yeah.
at least mention something. So you have a unique blend of certifications, and I want you to tell our listeners what those are. And then also tell us how your certifications, your credentials enhance your coaching methods, and which one or ones have been most significant, um, impacting your practice.
Okay. Um, so the first one was tell me, okay. So I am a certified professional coach through the ICF, which is the International Coach Federation. And I know, hot topic, in case anyone read the New York Times article about coaching being a pyramid scheme, I am already wanting to think about my response to that. Um, so I am certified through the International Coaching Federation. I got my original certification back in 2010, and I've been coaching full time since 2012. Um, and I use that daily, not even with my clients.
Right.
With every conversation I have, with interactions, with conversations, even in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
I find that the skills that I use, I so wish I had
Mm-hmm.
decades earlier. And I love to support people to learn those skills, whether they want to be a coach or not, I think is irrelevant.
Yes.
I use it with if someone wants to be a better leader with my executives and that sort of thing. That is, I don't know how deep you want me to go, but that is through IPEC, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. And I will say that not all coaching is equal, as not really all, so many things are not equal. And I think what I love most about what I do with many, I think 3, 4 of my certifications are through that. And that is because I think for the most part, and I'm just speaking through my filter, so often people can hang a shingle, and I know that this is a lot about what that article was. You know, you can hang a shingle and say you're a coach. You can get online and become a certified coach in 2 hours. And, you know, no judgment, because I haven't done any of those programs. But my program was, well, at my time, a year long. And I worked freaking hard to learn and practice skills that many coaching is about outcome, outcome, outcome. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And to me, if you ain't already doing it, there's a block between you and your goalpost. And we're not addressing it if it's just the, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? You might have some forward movement, but so often it's not sustainable. You know, it's like me, oh, I got to lose weight, so I'm going to sign up for a personal trainer. Well, if I'm paying for that, I'm showing up and I'm getting results. And then as soon as I'm no longer paying for it, and now I'm doing it on my own, and maybe now I'm only going 5 days a week, and now 4 days a week, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting on the couch eating a sleeve of Pringles. that what happened to that forward motion, it wasn't sustainable because I didn't really address what was getting in the way of me going in the first place. And that's what I love to do with my clients, is address that underneath what is really going on, so that people can really make sustainable change. So that's many of my certifications. I use an assessment with that I love, I think is a game changer to allow people to do that. I do think that it's all about energy, and people laugh that that's so woo-woo. And yet I'll tell you, I've been electrocuted on stage.
You have, that's right.
And I have the video to prove it.
Yep.
So you can't tell me that we're not energetic beings.
I love that you use that example.
Oh my gosh. And so I do think that that's super important. Now, I also am certified from the Center for Creative Leadership in their 360 assessment for leaders that I work with. That is another great assessment for people, you know, wanting to see their strengths and maybe see some blind spots of what they can do for their professional and personal growth and development. Yeah, how much did that answer your question?
I think you did great. I mean, I love the background that you shared, you know, with your coaching, and then, you know, the 360 and the other things. And I love that you bring energy into it. Obviously, and I are friends. And I also believe in the energy. I'm certified in emotional intelligence. So that's
perfect.
kind of where I always come from, like an emotional intelligence standpoint, because if we're not getting to kind of, you know, self-awareness, other awareness, those kind of things, we don't really understand why we're behaving or interacting the way that we are. And so I think that that's like we're on the same wavelength, pun intended.
Pun intended. And even Shelley, you know, we can go as far as saying, you know, when you said I'm a lifelong learner, and love that, and wanting to learn and wanting to grow. And we also see people that keep achieving because they think they're not good enough.
Right.
So then it's also really asking ourselves, you know, am I doing this because I want to, or because I think I'm supposed to, or that people will respect me more, or, you know, all of that fear-based stuff.
favorably on me.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's just interesting to just be curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you have something called Holy Shift events, which I've always loved the name of. Can you share a memorable moment from one of those events that maybe encapsulates that its spirit?
Gosh, I came up with that
Yeah.
holy shift so long ago, and I thought it was the most clever thing. And then, of course, it's everywhere.
Well, it's the first time I heard it. I was like, I hope she
I-
has it trademarked.
Oh, yeah, no, did not think of that. We used to do, well, it was, gosh, I'm aging myself. It was before podcasts even.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't
Mhm.
really know when podcasts start. And it was still considered a radio show, but
Mhm.
ultimately it was a podcast. And I think it a lot of those events, I mean, it kind of encompasses everything. It encompassed the radio show. It encompasses when I do retreats. It encompasses, any of my corporate trainings. It to me, it's just sort of this overarching, and I like things to be fun. So Holy Shift
Mhm.
makes me laugh.
Mhm.
And I guess I think I would say one of the biggest things for me is when I work with someone who's a skeptic
Mhm. You
in
Mm-hmm.
the
love that.
process. Oftentimes, um, companies will bring me in, and while over the last, 15 years almost that now I've been doing this, or have at least been exposed to coaching, um, especially in corporate, it really was a last ditch effort a while ago. It was, we're putting you on this performance plan, we're giving you a coach, and if you can't change your ways, you're out of here type of thing.
Yep.
So I think that people saw coaching that way as almost a punishment, where now I have seen a huge holy shift
Yep.
into where it's, now we're giving coaching to our high potentials, which is a huge button for me because everyone is high potential. You just haven't seen that yet.
Yes.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
Um, and so I think that's why I really love when people are like, I don't need coaching. I have no fear. I have everything I want. And then just sitting back and allowing the process to unfold to
Mhm.
where it then they come back and say, wow, that, and it's, I do think coaching is magical. I don't think I am magic. I think I do my job well, and
Mhm.
I'm also always learning, but I can own that I do think that I do my job well.
Oh
So I
yeah,
love when,
girl. Yes, you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that. And so I love when people then do the whole, oh my gosh, you're a magician, not because I did anything, but because they had such a big shift, because it's not about me.
Mhm.
It is about them. And I think of one client in particular who they didn't want to fire him because he brought in like he was a
Yep.
top
Top revenue.
salesperson. And so, that revenue would go away if they fired
Mhm.
him, and yet no one wanted to work with him.
Right.
So, enter Lesley.
Mhm.
And, now he's as happy as a clam and people love to work with him. And I mean, that was just such a huge and fun holy shift
Mhm.
that that's why I, one, know that the process works, and two, my gosh, how much more fun it is on the other side of it
Yeah.
for others going through the process.
Absolutely. I've been coaching for a long time too, and I've had clients come back when they're in different transitions of their life. And first, that's such a compliment, right?
Mhm.
But then also to have them say, "Oh, remember that time and you said this one thing and I've thought about it for the last 10 years." And it's like, "Holy shit, really? Wow." just flowing in the conversation with you, but
Totally.
I love it. Little boost of confidence
It was a
there.
golden nugget.
Exactly.
Right?
And the thing is I think something that we learn as coaches is how powerful words are, and that you can then plant seeds of power
Mhm.
and plant seeds of growth, or you can plant seeds of fear and of trepidation and of shoulds.
Mhm.
So yay you for planting the growth seeds.
All right, Lesley, let's transition a little bit to your personal life. So
Dun,
what
dun, dun.
what do you enjoy doing when you're not busy inspiring other people and helping them, and I'm sorry, supporting them in their holy
Nice. You're hilarious. Family is huge for me. So I have 13 nieces and nephews, and they are now procreating to where I now have 10 and a half grand nieces and nephews. That is huge for me. So family time, funtivities, I call it. What can we do fun, whether it's going to see a show. My partner and I are in a pickle tournament on Saturday, my first one.
like
Nice.
pickleball, or
Pickleball.
I thought you were going to say pickle eating. I was down for either one, to be
Ah, I love it. Just let me be clear, pickleball, maybe some pickle eating after, although that's conjuring up other things. And so I'm excited about that. Traveling, huge. Love to travel. Yeah, I mean, just fun things. Music. I love
To say, if
music.
you didn't incorporate music,
I know. What was I
answer,
thinking,
Lesley.
Amy? What was I thinking?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, and I like to spend, I'm very big with Chicago Jazz Philharmonic, and supporting those kids to build life skills through music and band programs where they're mostly arts deserts. That too, music is a huge shifter for people. Yeah, I like to do a lot of things, I guess.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, and I'm using wasted very purposefully here. I have wasted many an hour on bad Hallmark movies.
I listen, we love those. We love them. Love them.
I was busy all last week, and I tell you, I got up, I had a bunch of graduation parties on Saturday, came home, watched Netflix all the rest of the day.
Nice.
Home, put my soft clothes on, watch Netflix. Got up Sunday, ran a 5K, came home, showered, put my soft clothes on, got into bed, and watched Netflix the whole rest of the day. Ate pizza in my bed. It was so
There
good.
you go.
You know what? That is just yummy goodness, literally
is.
and figuratively right there. And I've never heard soft clothing. I am so stealing that.
Yeah, it's not comfy clothes, it's soft clothes.
That is hilarious. I
Clothes.
love that.
I hadn't either, actually, so that's a new one for me. So we might have already answered this just a little bit with one of the Hallmark remarks, but a Hallmark movie. So we all have guilty pleasures, is where I was going. Yep. So maybe what's something unexpected that you indulge in to relax? Anything?
I am a lover of watching QVC.
Hmm. Are you a purchaser or just peruse? Oh, nobody can see your face, but
I may or may not.
can.
I may or may not. Could maybe use a support group.
Do they know you by name? And
They know me by name, and this is what I always said to myself: if coaching didn't pan out, I would be a QVC host.
I love that. I
Listen,
think you should do it.
have you heard of Encore Career, Lesley? Because
Exactly.
That's right. We had Encore Career as a new term on our
Okay.
podcast. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. Okay, QVC. There we go. If we ever see you on there.
Same. I'll
And-
let you know.
Okay, give us a heads up. We'll tune in.
so you've shared a lot of things it sounds like you have a very rich life, which I love. A lot of people though struggle with work-life balance, or what do we
For
want to call it? Work-life balance, work-life integration. I don't know what we want to call it anyway. anymore. But if you have tips for your clients or other folks, how do you support them in achieving this? Because it's a real thing, particularly with women.
Oh, it is such a real thing. Women so easily put themselves on the back burners. And it's interesting because it's a bit of even a trigger for me. And when I say trigger, I mean like something that still frustrates me. I'm working on it, especially in the American society
Mhm.
of, oh, and men have worked all day long and then they get to come home and they need their man cave to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if you are a woman with a 9 to 5 or not, if you are a woman taking care of kids or not, if you're taking care of the home, so much is put on women that I'm sorry, I loved when the She Shed came out.
Mm-hmm.
When does a woman get the chance and the time to, oh, I just need a quiet place? Well, no, you don't get that, because even when a woman is sick,
Mm-hmm.
they're still taking care of the kids and making lunches and probably going to work and doing stuff. And it's so wonky and lopsided.
Mhm.
And this isn't, I'm not hating on the men. So,
It's a societal thing.
I know a lot, and I love seeing like my nephews who are now dads. I had a wonderful father and I respected him. I guess I still respect him, even though he's not physically here very much. And he worked a lot. And my mom worked in the home.
Mhm.
And, could my dad cook? Was my dad really good at putting dirty dishes in the sink and leaving them there? My dad was very present, and yet I don't really know. I mean, my mom was the disciplinarian. So I love seeing like my nephews, this next generation of them taking their kids to swimming.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like seeing that there's a tide. Oh my God. Oh, so balance. I really got off on a tangent. Okay.
It was a good tangent because
That
I
was a
was
good one.
following you right down.
Okay.
Yes.
If I had that answer, we'd be having this call from my, home in Tahiti. Because it's the $1,000,000 question. And I think that balance, it's funny that we call it work-life balance. It's just freaking balance.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
How do we just balance our lives? And I'm actually having my own season right now. Again, the universe is hilarious and loves to continually, I don't want to say test us, because I don't think it's in a mean way, just remind us to not fall into old habits.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sit on a board, a not-for-profit board, and I've been stepping in during a leadership transition. And it's been taking a lot of time that I worked so hard to not have to work so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now here I am working so hard, and I'm thinking, what? How did that happen? Like, what is going on here? So sometimes I do think it can be situational.
Mhm.
I also want to make sure that I'm not living my life like I used to and what I hear so many of my clients say, as soon as this is over, like
Mm-hmm.
as soon as, and they keep having these humps to get over, and the next thing you know, you're dead.
Mhm.
So it's what are we waiting for to just be able to have time for ourselves and do what we want? But I think especially women are so guilted into, your children have to come first, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be there for your spouse, and hello, is it 1950s? Let me make sure that I'm in my dress and full makeup and have cleaned the house and have dinner on the table
Before anybody walks in the door.
I
Right.
know, like, I'm sorry, who the F made that up? And we know who did, but I won't go down there. But only we have the power to change that
Mhm.
and
It's
use our
funny.
voices to change that. And again, I'm not dissing that if someone's choice is that
Right.
and they find joy from that, I love it. I love being able to make dinner for my partner. I also am partners with my partner.
Right.
I don't want to use the word slave. I just can't I'm not an employee
Right.
to my partner.
Right.
Or, a direct report, or I'm not using the right words.
It's funny because Amy and I both share in common. We get up in the morning and, I dedicate my morning to myself, and I have a very specific routine of self-care. And I've gotten to the point now, Lesley, where if I have to pick between, gosh, I'm a little sleepy, but I want to get my workout in, I'll sleep in and I'll go to work without makeup on or anything. Because guess what? I don't have anybody to impress there anyway, but I'm going to feel worse if I don't take care of myself before I go in. But it's such a foreign concept to people. It's like, oh my gosh, you do all of these things every day? Yes, I do, because I deserve it. I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And amen to that.
And I want to. And if you didn't, and if you wanted to sleep versus getting up and making yourself work out because you feel like you should, again, there's that word, then, you're prioritizing your self-care by sleeping because you're going to be better off.
Right.
And it's so interesting, even self-care, like, my gosh, why did we get so far away from it that self-care had to become a thing?
Right.
I don't know.
You want to get one more question? I could keep her on here forever.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
We're just vibing. Just vibing.
All right. So let me ask this last one here. What advice would you give someone who wants to make a significant change in their life but feels stuck? It's a big one, but
such a great question.
So many can relate to that.
Wait, say that again.
So many can relate to that.
I would say I'm not here to give advice because that's through my filter. And my journey and everything in my filter is different from everybody else. So I think I would simply say, start looking at your filter. Meaning, if you are shitting on yourself and you do believe that not only do you have to get up without enough sleep and work out, but you also have to make sure your hair is beautiful and you've got full makeup on. Who are you doing that for? If it's for yourself, great. That makes you feel good. Fantastic. Like, Shelley said earlier, if we are looking to impress somebody, if we think that we're going to be judged by others, then that's where we can start to dig and really figure out whose voice is that's telling you that's important if you don't even really truly think it's important. I think that's how we first begin to understand our own what drives us. And are we being driven out of fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of blah, insert a million things here? Or are we really doing it because that's what we want to do? And as soon as we are doing more of the want tos and choose tos and less of those damn have tos and shoulds, that's where we find our balance and that's where we find our bliss. Look at me bringing it back around.
Look at you
That's
bringing it back to bliss.
Magic happens.
And you know what else I have learned from you, Lesley, and I'm surprised that you didn't put this in here somehow yet, but this is a perfect segue. Trust the process.
Oh boy. And again, I'm choking on those words.
You made me choke on them a few times too.
Yeah, because we get, and it's easy to trust the process when things are going your way. you know, as you both know, and I'll make this fast, I'm looking at our time, is that, you know, last year I had a cancer. I'm not even gonna call it a battle because I was working to come at it with different energy. I was sending love to my cancer. I had stage 3 nasopharyngeal cancer for whatever reason. I just called it stuck energy. Quite frankly, that's what I believe it is. And boy, to trust that process of going through head and neck cancer treatment, I can't even remember it. Like it was so bad that I like just look back at it like it was a bad movie that I watched. So there are times when trusting the process, I very often said, fuck the process. Pardon my language. That was the headspace I was in. And we can learn from that. We're not here to be in a 24/7 state of bliss.
How boring would that be?
Right? Totally.
Yeah.
We're here to have a human experience. It's just, how can we have the human experience not take us down?
Right.
So, and not even that, not take us out. Maybe that's better. Because is that human experience? Ooh, man. I mean, I didn't get off my couch for months during and after treatment. I mean, it was rough going. So yes, I do think mindset is so important. And I worked on that constantly, especially during cancer. And to trust that process is also to not be attached to the outcome, or my whole mantra was, I'm in a moment. That just helped me. I'm just in a moment. Because when we think back in our lives, all of the quote unquote hardest things or worst times brought the greatest gift when you got to the other side.
Yep. 100%.
And that is but when we're in it, you just kind of want to say, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me here? And so if people are saying, fuck you, I don't want to trust the process, I'll say, kudos. Go ahead and use that energy, whatever you got to do to get through this moment. And there can also be some other options.
I had a doctor tell me once, and it was a different conversation actually about arranged marriages, because he was from India. And we were talking about that, and he said, you know, like, we want instant gratification here in America, and we want all of these things. And he said, the thing that you learn in arranged marriage, and this was his opinion, I've never been in one, but he said, you can't appreciate the light if you've never seen the dark. And the growth happens and the love happens in that way. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I kind of think about that when you're going through tough stuff. This is the dark, and man, the light is going to be fucking
awesome.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, is that not the truth?
Oh,
and it has you as more grateful and appreciative, and hopefully you're learning about yourself in either during that time in the dark or in retrospect to be able to respond or react different the next time the dark comes.
Exactly. Lesley, it has been so amazing having you with us today. I wish we had a whole nother hour to talk with you, but you've been absolutely inspiring. So thank you for being here.
I know. So lovely to see you.
Oh, it's so lovely to see you both. And you know, Amy, I can't even remember. Was it 2017 we first met? 2019. I've had some, you know, COVID years. I mean, like the lost year.
I finished my certification. Well, the last Chicago weekend was in January of 2020.
Oh, you were the last before.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. So thank you. I mean, just so lovely reconnecting and seeing you and
yes,
everything.
Absolutely. I don't want to wait this long again.
So I know what we've got to get some funtivities on the calendar. Hello.
Yeah. All right,
And
Shelley, do your thing.
Shelley, so great to meet you. And thank you so much, both of you, for your insights and for doing this. Because Wilder Wisdom, yeah,
Yeah, right?
done.
Loved it. Love it.
Right, you stunning souls. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of another journey together on Wild Her Wisdom podcast. But don't let the conversation stop here. Keep the inspiration flowing by connecting with us on social media, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram for a dose of empowerment and updates. And for those who just can't get enough, head on over to wildherwisdom.com. There you can connect with us, stay up to date on all our latest adventures, and catch up on episodes you may have missed.
So until next time, keep embracing your wild and exploring your wisdom. Remember, you are capable, you are resilient, and you are amazing. Keep shining.